Hello, hello. Hi, guys. We are live.
Good morning. Yay. I'm
Or
so
afternoon,
excited
Yay.
to be
as the
here.
case may be.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
It's
Okay.
afternoon where you are, I think.
Yeah, it is afternoon for me. It
It's
is
morning
12,
still here.
lunch hour. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Time for Life. Sorry, we're late. I'm having some tech issues this morning. I hope that you're doing well. We already have 17 people with us in the chat. Thank you, Jason. You're going to be checking out the chat for us.
I'm trying. Yeah, it's just like I'm doing. I'm gonna try to
um,
multitask.
No, I know. But no, I got it, so I'm fine. So okay, let me take it away again. Welcome to Time for Life. This is a show where we discuss basically what brings us joy, and we try to take time away from the doom and gloom because I think we need it. I mean, I'm in Canada, but I do need it, and when I'm trying to be an emotional support Canadian for my friends in America, I think they need it. So
Indeed.
Who doesn't?
So we are trying to get Beth, my co-host, on. She might not be able to join. She was having internet issue again. So we'll just when I see her pop in, I'll let her in. And if she doesn't make it, well, we're just gonna go ahead because this was scheduled
That's right.
few days ago. So welcome,
Hey,
Jason
it's good to see you.
Odell, and Shala. Sorry, my name is your name.
Shayla.
Shay. Okay, yeah.
Shayla.
Pardonne mon français. Pardon my French. So Shayla B. Pookie. Is that it?
Shayla B. Pookie. I am a Pookie. I am a Pookie to three beautiful grandchildren.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. And today we are going to talk about their new podcast, which is called
Hmm.
the Latchkey Hour. Please tell me I'm
Hmm.
saying that
Yeah,
right.
yeah, you
Yes,
got it.
indeed.
Okay. Um, so, I mean, you guys have been doing this, obviously. Was it your third or your fourth episode this Monday?
That
Fourth. All
It
right.
last
was
Monday was
fourth.
our fourth episode. Yes, it
So,
was.
and I joined to make sure that I saw what you guys were doing. And I've been trying to follow, but I have to say that for me, Mondays at 8 Eastern is kind of where I just like crash and I can't focus. So,
Mhm.
but you guys have been seeming to have fun. I mean, it's what I saw on Monday was really, I mean, it was fun.
Thank you so much. I created Latchkey Hour with Jason to because we're both Gen Xers. We both love Gen X everything. And they are topics that in our own house that we share, we talk about a lot. And so we have a certain expertise and certainly an affinity for it. And, they say, do what you love. And so that's what we're doing. And doing what we love hopefully brings a little bit of joy into the world.
Which is exactly
And
what we want to talk about. What makes you happy and what brings you joy, right?
right,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
been really fun because I have found more good Gen X writers who are writing about Gen X topics on Substack. Uh, and I've come across so many wonderful people that way. And it was like, wow, finally someone who hasn't forgotten about us. Because that joke is that Gen X is in the middle, and everyone knows who the Boomers are, and then they talk about millennials, and it's just like. And there was just a recent article in the New York, or no, in the Wall Street Journal, and it was like they were talking about millennials and Boomers and who had it worse. And the first one of the comments was like, "Thanks for remembering us." So they went
Yes.
back and redid the analysis of the financial, just all the, how did you have it kind of thing. And they're like, oh yeah, you guys had it pretty crappy too. So,
Yeah, we're kind of the lost generation. And so if we're going to get support from community, it's going to be because we build our own. And that's what we're used to doing. And we do
true.
it well. So, and it seemed to me there was a place for this on Substack. There are um, podcasts geared towards our demographic, but they are not the respite necessarily that we want to be consistently. And so I really think of the podcast piece as a place where our community can come and just get away and reminisce and be nostalgic and share their experiences as we share ours and build community.
Honestly, it's great that you're speaking about nostalgia because I'm a Gen X as well. So obviously, this topic
Mhm.
really talks to me. And I've realized that people tend to, well, I don't know if it's a human trait, but we do tend to be nostalgic. And, I find that the older we get, the more we're like, oh, oh, yeah, when I was young. And especially when you have kids, oh, when I was your age. And then you think back on what you were doing, and
Yeah,
maybe that can explain also why shows like Stranger Things had such a big impact, because this is like our
Mm.
youth, right? The bicycles,
absolutely.
the banana
Absolutely.
seat, like.
In fact, I am in the process of on Latchkey Hour on the website. Not only do we have the podcast, but I also write articles that are relevant some to our generation. Some of them being a little bit harder hitting than just the respite piece. But I am in the process of writing an article that addresses Stranger Things, and I need to get Jason to watch it because I so want to do a an episode specific to Stranger Things because it really was like watching my in fact in I think the last season there is a character who wears a Letterman jacket that says 86 on it, and that's the year I graduated from high school. So these characters, I am right there with them,
Yeah.
and like everything they're going through is like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about that, but it's really cool to remember. So
I want to say
I'll
I
have
didn't
that
have the right
article
streaming
coming out
service.
sometime next week.
you
What's that,
you have
Jason?
to
I didn't
watch
have
it,
the right
Jason.
streaming service when it first came out, and then I saw like the first two episodes. I'm like, what the heck is this? Everyone's saying it's great, but I'm just like, they're just running around in the dark from something crazy. So
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's
but I didn't have the service, and then then everything else happened, and it was the next thing I knew it was the pandemic, and wasn't it on HBO
It was on Netflix.
or
Netflix.
Netflix? Okay, maybe whatever. There's too many to keep track of, so I don't
And now
remember what.
there's 5 seasons, so I'm
Right.
gonna have to pin him to the couch and get
No
him to watch it
kidding.
because I'm dying to do that episode. But it's one that we can do in the format very similar to the one we did last Monday that you watched,
Hmm. Oh
where
yeah,
we have a big dramatic opening and do a
yeah.
little bit of cosplay role play skit type thing and
Like
get some
honestly,
games in there.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
cool. It was cool. I would suggest everyone to go. Well, I'll be pitching, and you will have space. Sorry to pitch you guys at the end, but yeah, that was a great episode because you had well, like I said, it was my first time watching just the whole thing, and yeah, you could tell like there's the beginning, there was the introduction. I mean, the episode was about Star Trek because I believe you
Mhm.
are both
Hmm.
Trekkies.
We
You have to,
are.
and
Yeah, we're kind of all of the fandoms, but that one is holds a special place in our heart. And it's the 60th, this year is the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. So and we just in April is what's called First Contact Day, where in Star Trek lore, the we I think in 2063, April of 2063 is when Star Trek prophesies that we are going to have first contact with the Vulcans. So, First Contact Day is a Star Trek holiday in our house.
wow. I mean, to have a Star Trek holiday in the house, you've got to be like,
Right.
I mean, you have to be Trekkies. And it's funny because
Mhm.
I was following the show and I was like, oh my God, but I'm not a Trekkie. Like, yeah, I had no idea about the references. And I was like trying to be active in the chat. By the way, people, welcome. We have 26 people so far with us. Please, if you have questions, don't
You were a
hesitate.
fabulous moderator.
Huh?
You were a
What's that?
fabulous moderator you
Oh,
were a great moderator for the chat.
I just put the
no,
link to
that was
Latchkey Hour in the chat, so there, if
yeah,
people
when I
are.
got, well, that's usually when I get into a chat, I'm a bit intense. I try to follow and I sort of like, da, 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 da. But it was fun because I did learn things.
Okay.
But I do remember like seeing, when I was, uh, around at that age, my parents were not into science fiction, but I did see
Hmm.
like, oh, the Star Trek is on. And usually that's when, you kind of follow around your parents and what they watch. So there was,
Mhm.
yes, the first generation. Then there was, you gotta like, but was that
Deep
Picard?
Space Nine.
Deep
Deep
Space.
Yeah,
Space
Picard
Nine
was in
came
Next
after.
Generation.
Yeah,
Okay, so the first is just Star Trek. Like,
Right. And now they just
the
call it
original
TOS, the
series.
original series. Right.
okay.
So the technical term is Star Trek, the
There
original
are lots
series.
of acronyms in Star Trek
Yeah.
universe.
Because there's been too many shows now.
But I have to ask you, Shayla, please put on your backs if you can. Can you put in
Mhm.
your background, what you had on, like right
Oh,
now? Like, can you put it in the back?
oh, the background that I had on. Let
Like
me,
the screen,
yes.
sorry, the
Hold
screen
on.
behind you, if
Yes,
you
I
can.
will switch
I'm
that out real quick. Okay, there we go. That
I
is the
mean,
bridge of the Enterprise.
yeah, and that was awesome. And by the way, Beth, my co-host, was able to join. So I'm gonna add her to the
Oh, sweet.
stream. And thank you
Fabulous.
for putting that on. So that's great.
Hi,
Oh
Beth.
Hey.
my
Hi.
We're
We
I'm
glad you could
grew. Now
finally
we're
join
all
us.
big now.
I'm back.
Thank you for
Yeah,
making
now
it.
everybody can see the entire bridge of the
That's right.
Enterprise.
Absolutely. Beth, were
Wonderful.
you a Trekkie?
A little bit. Like those little warbly things. What were those little fuzzy things? Was that
The,
Star
tr-
Trek?
Oh,
the
Tribbles.
Tribbles.
Tribbles. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone
I
loves a
remember that
Tribble.
one. Yeah. Who
So,
is everybody today? I'm so sorry. I'm like technical issues big time.
We
I mean,
understand. We can relate.
It
well,
happens.
especially with what you were doing with all the tech behind the scene, having a
Mhm.
whole introduction. I mean, it was almost like watching a science fiction.
Oh, yeah. That was my project on I don't know what happened to me on Sunday morning, but I had some early morning inspiration. I said, I'm going to make us an opening trailer, and where can I do this and not get sued for using the music of,
Right.
you had, so it turns out there's actually people out there who create royalty free
Mhm.
theme music, like,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you can use in a video production,
Mhm.
and all they request is attribution rights. And so this one,
Yep.
I found this place. It had music that sounded an awful lot like Star Trek music. Like if you heard it, you'd say, "Well, that sounds like it's something came out of a Star Trek episode," but it wasn't the actual Star Trek theme. So,
It's
because with
reminiscent of. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it definitely evokes. And let's just say I may have found some other stuff for next week's show. And so if you're going to show up to the Latchkey Hour next week, be sure you join early because we're going to have some more,
We will have a
intro
dramatic
stuff.
opening sequence, and it is going to be another holiday that we celebrate in our house, May the 4th, because May the 4th be with you. And
Mm-hmm.
In my Catholic family, we used to respond with, and also with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Yeah, I
Beth gets
remember
that
that
one. You
too.
get the reference? Yeah. Um, and so we will be having a Star Wars episode this time, and we have again some fun stuff
I'm still trying to go
in
through the book
planned
and
for that
figure out
one. So
what we're going to cook for the Star Wars
yes,
episode. There's like
yeah,
That sounds
cocktails and stuff in
amazing.
here.
there will be cocktails involved
So
from
Well, that
direct from the
doesn't there
Star
have
Wars
to be?
cantina.
that looks pretty good. Good stuff.
From the
Yeah.
Star Wars cantina. Yes,
Everybody
indeed,
needs a green drink or a blue
the
drink.
Mos Eisley cantina.
That
Oh
is
What
wow!
was
awesome.
so you had you said if it was Stargate, you had been right on it, or what was the show that you knew? Like if
Well, I watched the Stargates. I did watch like the
Mhm.
first Stargate,
mhm,
like the
Mhm.
original,
mhm, mhm.
and then I did watch some of the movies, but I really was into Atlantis. That one, I
Okay,
loved it.
okay.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
about what about Lost in Space? Were you into that, So?
Don't think that was, I was young and that wasn't on my, I mean, back then, remember, I'm in Quebec, so we had like four
Mhm.
French
Mm-hmm.
TV channels and then one that was CBC, which was English, and I don't
Ah,
remember having seen Lost in Space. So yeah.
I don't even think I
um
watched Lost in Space because that was already, that was from the late 50s, right? Early 60s, late 50s, and then you
Gosh.
saw it in reruns or something. And I
I've
don't
been
know.
watching it in the 70s, yeah.
We had
That's cool.
reruns of Gilligan's Island. There you go.
Yes, yes. I think we all did.
So a connection between Stargate and Star Trek is I'm googling as we're talking that Star Trek actor Marina Sirtis, who played Counselor Troy on Star Trek: The Next Generation, and Robert Picardo, who played the Doctor in Voyager, both made guest appearances on Stargate.
Oh,
Actually,
cool.
Robert Picardo was a few times a guest because I remember
Was
his
he?
character. Don't remember his name, but
Hmm.
on Stargate, I remember. Yeah, he came around like a few times. So
We were
He is fabulous. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, you were
No,
going
I
to
was gonna
talk
say
about
we
that?
we were walking. We had just gotten on board the ship in Port Canaveral in Florida
For the
you
Star
have to
Trek
explain though,
cruise.
why were you on a ship?
for
Because
the
For
not
the
Star
everyone.
Star
Trek
Trek
cruise.
cruise.
Right. We were on our ship,
Mm-hmm.
not that kind of a ship. No, we were walking to our stateroom and we were going because it was going to be they when you go on a cruise, your luggage gets delivered to your stateroom. So, you
Mhm.
put it and then they'll bring it to you whenever it gets delivered. And so we were just taking the stairs because one thing I've also learned on a cruise is when everyone's getting on the ship, you will wait a really freaking long time for the elevator. So if you can take the
Yeah.
stairs,
Mhm.
take the stairs. So we were of adequate health to take the stairs. And as we were going up, or we were going down or up or
He
whatever,
was
and there was Robert
he was
Picardo. just
literally
in-
the first star I saw out in the wild. And he was
and
going
we were
down
like,
the stairs
hey.
as I was coming up, and I audibly gasped.
Yeah, can
And he
confirm.
looks up at me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Oh my God, it's you." I was totally
And he
fangirling. It
was
was kind
super
of
nice.
embarrassing,
He
actually.
he was really super nice. In fact, almost all of them were super nice. There's the few people who kind of hide out in their
No, yeah.
stateroom the whole time.
It's not that they're
William
not
Shatner.
nice. They just are not as interactive with the fans
Mm.
Well,
and stuff. But that was, yeah, that was he would, and oh my gosh, what a talented actor, because well, a lot of them are, because on the ship they do a lot of productions, like original productions of,
mhm.
they do parodies, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of use it as an opportunity to indulge talents and interests they have in the arts, outside of Star Trek. And so classical music, opera singing, Broadway singing, all kinds of great stuff. And yeah, incredibly, there's so many of them are just very talented performers. One of the actors
Mm-hmm.
from Star Trek Discovery, Anthony Rapp, was he was in the opening cast of Rent on Broadway.
Wow.
And
Oh,
so
wow.
he did
He
a
can
whole
sing.
show of his own that was just
Mm-hmm.
songs he loves to sing, some of them from Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and from original songs that he has
Hmm.
composed, and it was really fabulous,
And
moving.
like we had the whole Gen X thing going on too because he is like maybe 3 weeks older than me. Like
Hmm.
Oh,
he,
wow.
we ran into him at the pool and it was like, and I said, I'm just glad we're repping Gen X here. And I said, because I'm 71 as well. And he goes, oh yeah, when? I said November. He said, oh, I'm October. And it was kind of like,
Born in 71. He's not 71.
right, he born in 71,
It's
same
like,
year, same vintage 1971. Thank you
That
very much.
matters.
Yes,
I
right,
was
that
like, you
matters.
look really good
No,
for
he looks
sure.
great.
Right.
Although William Shatner is 95 and still
I'm
looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
68.
Right,
Born
is
in.
how old is he?
I was
95.
born in
I thought it
68.
was 90.
Yes.
William Shatner just turned
William
95 in
Shatner
March.
just turned 95, and Walter
Oh,
Koenig, who
wow.
played Chekhov in the original series, and Sulu. What's the
Yeah,
actor's name
George
again?
Takei.
Mm-hmm.
George Takei. Oh my God, I can't believe I brain farted that. But they both just turned 90.
Oh my God. I mean, at 95, I would have stayed in my room a lot too. I
Oh,
mean,
he was out on the dance floor with us. Walter Koenig
Chekhov.
was out on the
Yeah,
dance floor with us.
I think I posted the video.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think I posted
oh,
it to my
yes.
note.
seriously.
Where
Remember that.
he was like totally dancing because one of the karaoke singers was actually doing a really good job. I think what wasn't
Mhm.
it? Wasn't the guy singing Piano Man? and or something like that. And
Maybe.
everyone was singing
I
along.
don't
And then
remember,
the next
but-
thing you know, here's Walter Koenig just gets up, and the karaoke hosts are cast from the series Star Trek Enterprise, which came out in the early 2000s. And they were like, oh, damn, Walter's up here dancing to this. It's pretty good.
He did a Q&A where he was up on stage and
Yes.
he was just taking questions from the audience. So I got down and I went up to the mic that was down on the floor in front of the stage, and I let him know that I was one of those little girls who had a crush on Chekhov. And
Aw.
he got down
Mm-mm.
on the floor and hugged me.
Can you imagine?
He's such a
Wow.
sweet guy. He's
Aw.
really,
Oh.
really good.
Yeah.
Just and
That is
spry.
sweet.
Like he could get down and get back. I mean, I have trouble getting up off the couch sometimes. And he's getting
Tell me about it.
down on the floor and back up, and people are coming out to try to help him, and he's like, I got this. So young, a young
Aw.
90.
Yeah. Yeah. And when
Yeah,
someone asked him a
very
question about
inspiring.
what do you want to do, in the next he said, I'm 89. I just want to live till 90. Although he said it with a little more colorful language than that. So
Yeah.
he was just like, I'm 80 fucking 9. I
does.
think that.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
colorful vocabulary, which I appreciate. Yeah.
So
Mine is
was
color.
this your first Trek? Like not Trek, but Star Trek cruise? Yes, because I'd ask you the question, and it's not the first time they have it, but it was
Right.
your first time.
It was our first time. We talked a little bit about that on Latchkey Hour.
Mhm.
It was,
Yeah.
we viewed it as a sort of, I wouldn't call it a bucket list because we didn't really know about it. But when we saw it, it was like, wow. And Shatner's going to be there, who I've met before in other, convention scenarios. But it's like, it's kind of a lot of money. But oh my God, how cool will this be? And the thing is at the end of the cruise, it had exceeded our expectations. I have never
Oh,
had
by
that
far.
much
nice.
fun
By
on a
far.
7-day thing ever. Because usually the sea
By
days on a
far.
cruise are boring.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe if I'll go down early and get a place by the pool before it gets too crowded, what do you do? No, on the sea days on the Star Trek cruise, it is solid activities.
All over the
Panels,
place, right?
discussions, autographs, photos, and then the
There
shows
was
at
so
night.
much stuff to do. We could not do it all.
Oh,
And
wow.
this year was the 9th cruise. So they'd been doing them for 9 years. It was our first time, but we had so much fun completely unexpectedly that the incentives they offered if you signed up while you were on the ship for next year
Next year.
made it almost
Mhm.
too good to be true. So
Mhm.
next year will be the 10th year of the
Ooh.
cruise, and we are going. We booked and paid for it
Nice.
right there on the ship. And George Takei is scheduled to be there. LeVar Burton is scheduled to be there, who is a hero of mine in so many ways. He's from my hometown, so there's a park in my hometown named after him. I've just been an admirer of his since he was in Roots, which was a huge breakout role for him. And then he did the whole Reading Rainbow thing. I am a retired public
Mhm.
educator. And so I very much am thankful for everything he's done for literacy in this country. So
Mhm.
I am so excited to meet him. Yeah.
And I have a feeling I won't say he'll be hanging out at the pool approachable, but he'll be approachable.
Mm.
Yes,
Well,
I
you
believe
can
that.
imagine. Sorry, go ahead, Beth.
Oh, I was just going to say, I can imagine.
Mhm.
We're approachable.
Yeah,
That's
some
exciting.
of them were just absolutely. I mean, you're not going to go hang out necessarily with them, but there was numerous occasions where, if you're someone who's clearly a celebrity, a cast member, let's say,
Mhm.
and you go and hang out by the pool on the cruise, you really don't do that because you want your space.
Hmm.
Even if you were working a little bit or
Right.
whatever,
If you're in
you
the hot
can't be
tub.
there and not expect
Mhm.
someone to not recognize you. I
Can I have a
mean,
selfie, right? I mean, you have
Right.
to expect
Right.
it when
right. Although they don't do selfies typically because you're supposed to buy the pictures. They have
Yeah,
these
but you
rules
can
about
do
it.
that
But
thing where
they
you're
sneak 'em.
faking a selfie with them in the background.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
and get
Or
him that way.
you get John Billingsley from Star Trek
He
Enterprise
does
after
not
three
give a single
martinis.
fuck.
You get him after a couple martinis. Everything was good. Hey, cheers, man! And it's
He would do whatever you want. He was
totally.
hilarious. But yeah, in fact, Jason and I both went. One of the days that the ship was in port, we did not go into port because it was just the cruise ship's private island out in the Bahamas,
Mm.
and we weren't
Oh
really
wow.
interested in that.
It's
But
beach
it's
day.
to me, it's less interesting than going actually to a city and seeing a city, right? That I can go and photograph.
Mm-hmm.
So the we just hung out on the ship, and we went up to a lounge area, and there was nobody there except for us and Walter Koenig and his companion, who is a retired science teacher. So I got to talk to her a lot about education, which was excellent.
Mhm.
Todd Stashwick was up there, who is a famous character actor who was actually in the Picard series. He played Captain Liam Shaw in the Star Trek Picard series, and he's been in a lot of other sci-fi stuff too. Um, he was up there, and
Dominic Keating.
Dominic Keating and Anthony Montgomery from the Enterprise series were up there as well. So it was me, Jason, uh their companions, if they had a companion with them, spouse, whatever, and it was just us for like an
And
hour and a half.
just having a good old time, having a glass of wine, and talking about Star Trek and Star
So,
Wars and
and
all
other
this
things
stuff.
too,
Well,
because
that sounds fun.
I had a whole debate with Stashwick about whether Andor is real Star Wars or not. So
Wow.
he, like me, is like kind of all the fandoms. And so yeah, we had that whole conversation too. It was fabulous. It was just like, oh, this is just like just hanging with. I
And
was, yeah.
Stashwick is vintage '68, so you guys are like
He's
right.
very Gen X.
Yeah, he's super
Very.
Gen X.
He still plays Dungeons and Dragons, just like the whole Stranger Things kids did.
Oh my God.
He is big in that world. And he
Mhm.
hosts charity Dungeons and Dragons tournaments and stuff for online, and
I
has
played
other stars.
AD&D as a student, so I remember, like, I mean,
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, this is something that I think we have in common. It's the whole like putting yourself in an imaginary, I mean, world, be it fantasy or science fiction. And honestly, I have to ask you, and I don't want to, but this is going to be a question that I think you're going to have fun answering. What is it that brings you joy about imagining yourself in a, well, I would say a different world, because really this is not
Mhm.
everybody everyday's life. If I'm not going to go every day
Right.
like with a sword going around and looking for elves in the forest, right? So what
Right.
is it
That
about it
sounds like a really good time right now, actually.
that
Let's
It
go do
does
that.
sound pretty
That
good.
sounds kind of fun.
Hey, Colorado's an open carry state, so I could do that if I and get away with it if I wanted to. But
Hmm.
the for me, uh I find it, as a woman in this world, where uh especially as a woman, I was in a position of leadership. I was a principal, and was responsible for the lives and safety of 800 people every day. And
principle, wow, that is
I,
I mean, yeah.
I, I
Lots of
but I
responsibilities
didn't,
there, just woo.
at the level I was working, I didn't have a lot of female mentors,
Mm.
um,
Mm.
or role models. And even growing up, I don't feel like I had a lot of mentors and role models who whose example I could follow in terms of autonomy, my own autonomy, and authority and agency. And um, s- certainly a little bit in the beginning, and more so over time, sci-fi is a place where you do see that.
Mm,
So I
Mm.
appreciate, going into these worlds and being able to see women who uh, are the badasses that I feel like I eventually became, but I really struggled to learn that on my own in the real world. And so sci-fi was a place where I got that.
I mean,
that
think
is
about
very.
1977. Princess Leia was actually the badass in Star Wars.
Hmm.
Like she was driving the
Mm-hmm. Yes.
she told them like, okay, I'll do it myself.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, the self-rescuing
Mm-hmm.
princess kind of thing.
Out of my way,
Right, right.
fuzzball.
Right.
That is
What about
true.
a
Never thought about it
Spaceball?
that
Speaking of
way. I
that,
mean,
I'd
yeah,
rather kiss a
so-so.
Wookiee.
That could be arranged.
that can be arranged. Oh, good point.
There
What
you go.
about you, Jason? What got you into fantasy, science fiction, and all of that?
I mean, I read it when I was a kid. I read Arthur C. Clarke and Asimov and lots of that stuff just voraciously at the time. I wish I would read more these days. Seems like I get too distracted by everything. And then my mom was into sci-fi, so Star Trek was always
Mhm.
on in syndication growing up. So that was the first one. And then the second thing was that, and the watershed moment for any kid growing up in who was old enough to go to see Star Wars when it came out in 77. And I'm like literally on the cusp of that. I mean, if I had been any younger, probably wouldn't have been able to say I saw it in the theater. My parents saw it, figured, it's tame enough. It's not gruesome
Mm-hmm.
other than maybe, one or two little moments. But so I remember piling into the back of the station wagon. Someone was going, so when some kid said, "We're going to see Star Wars. Do you want to go?" And we all piled into the car, the big station wagon, and we went down to
No
wherever the
seats,
theater
no
was.
bells, no seats, right?
Well, they had seat belts in those days, but I think we were like, the prize was to sit in the very
Not
back
me.
of the country squire when you were in the rear facing seats. That was the cool thing. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that became sort of, I swear it was a life changing moment if you were a kid in 1977 and saw that movie, because the toys didn't come out until later. I mean, they did ramp that
Mm-hmm.
up and it became that whole thing, right? And I can't tell you how many hours of my childhood I spent playing with Star Wars action figures and spaceships and stuff. But
I love it.
from the moment we got home from that movie that afternoon, we were out in the backyard pretending to play Star Wars. And who's gonna?
For
We didn't
sure.
even know they were. We couldn't even remember they were called stormtroopers. We said, "Who are gonna be those white guys?" We were just those white guys, and we didn't mean Caucasian. We just meant those,
Right, right.
And I mean, there was a
Yeah.
good part of me that didn't even realize that those were people. Like, for all I knew, they were robots or something.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm 5.5. It was, but so then I grew up then waiting the 3 years for each installment. That 3 year wait, that ritual that you had to do, so that by the time Return of the Jedi came out in May of '83, I remember my
Mm.
parents picked us all up from school early because we always walked home from school
Wow.
or biked home, and they picked us up from school and we went straight to the theater on opening day to see that, which, because at that point my sisters were old enough to come
Yeah.
along with us. So that's,
Right,
Now,
I
right.
mean,
How
it was your
fun.
whole life when you were a kid when you're a kid in 1980, that was everything.
I
I am the
remember.
older I am the older woman in this relationship. So I saw the original Star Wars in the
Wow.
drive-in movie theater,
Outside,
right?
looking at the stars.
Outside 3 times that summer. Wanted to be Princess Leia. And then I guess I was 12 when Empire Strikes Back came out. And I remember just being blown away when Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father."
Which is the correct line, by the way. He never said,
And I
"Luke,
was
Mm-hmm.
I
blown
am your
away.
father."
At
Right,
12 years
right.
old, probably if you were an adult and you saw that and you knew anything about literature and literary arcs, maybe you would have seen that coming. I did not. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah.
It's true. I mean, for me, it's like all the other stories I don't remember reading before Star Wars for sure, but then it's like, I'm your father, I'm your mom, or whatever. It's like, oh, obvious, no, it's like,
Yeah. Right.
it's as if it's true that back then it was like, well, I don't want to say original, but
Well,
it wasn't as
It was
common.
the plot twist that no one saw coming
Mhm.
at
yeah,
that
but
time.
It was.
but now every time a new Star Wars comes out, people want to assume there is going to be this big plot twist that
Mhm.
doesn't come,
Mm, mm.
like that's not a something you can replicate. If there's going to be a
Right.
plot twist, it can't be something like, it can't be like that.
Mhm.
Mm.
um it's so yeah, I follow a lot of the fandoms and a lot of the online chatter about what fans are thinking of what's coming up and all of that, um or people trying to like uh guess the conspiracy kind of thing,
Oh
what's
yeah.
coming up. And and 99 times out of 100 that's not what happens, but it's fun
And
to guess.
yeah, and this whole that there must be a binary uh fandom, like you're either a Star Wars fan or a Star Trek fan. That's crap. That's just
No,
total
Yeah,
crap
that's
it's
because
true.
like you
they're
can
so
only love
different.
one of your children, right?
Right? They're just so
That's
different.
it.
Um,
Mhm.
You no, we you love them each and they're each unique, and that's what you love them for, is their uniqueness. And that's very much um why our fandom is not divided, it is shared.
Hmm.
Oh.
And
That's
shared doesn't mean there's less, we love one less than the other.
the
Mhm.
Venn diagram
it's,
kind of
it's
is a
not a
circle.
pie.
It's a circle.
It's not a
it's not
pie.
fine. Yeah, I mean, I find it's great because it's a bit the same, with science fiction and fantasies. Like, which one do you like? Like, which one's better? It's like, well, it's just not the same. Like, it's so different, right?
Right.
And then you'll
Right.
have fantasy within science fiction. I mean, then it gets
Mhm.
really like mixed up. So,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
is there anything else about I mean, because you were talking, now we're talking science fiction and fantasy, but what do you, because originally to talk about the Latchkey Hour, which
Mhm.
because I see a lot more people joined again. So could you just go back into
Hello,
explaining
everyone.
what is it that um, explicitly, like the nostalgia, but is there anything else that you want to share with talking about Gen X and
Well, I think so. In the podcast, we don't just cover science fiction, right? We're talking about it today because of
that's why I'm bringing it
our
back to
last episode, the one coming up. There are other things we talk about too, but we look at all aspects of the Gen X experience growing up. We did
Mhm.
a segment of a show a couple of weeks ago about library card catalogs. Remember where when you used to go to the library and you'd pull out the drawer with the cards in it,
yes,
and like what a
Mhm.
lost skill that is now. So we
even
talk about
instead as
all
a student, I remember doing that, like the right
Mhm.
after high school you'd go and like
Right.
Mhm.
And so we talk about a lot of different aspects of Gen X life. We have talked about how, as Gen Xers, we grew up hanging out at the mall, and that was our social hub, and how that's
Mhm.
represented in how that was represented in pop culture in movies like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So
Mhm.
we're not just in the sci-fi genre by any means.
yes,
It was
Every
just the timing.
everything.
It was the timing
Yeah,
worked
the
out.
timing came in, that we're doing two back-to-back sci-fi episodes, but there's more to it than that. And it's really the goal is to build community around um, the even sometimes the shared traumas that we joke about. I think Gen X, like here's a perfect example. Do you remember as a kid on the playground going down those slides that burned the hell out of the
oh,
backs of your legs? Right?
trauma, yes,
Right.
ouch,
That kind of
Yes.
stuff. So that we kind of bond around part of our bonding is around our shared trauma that we is laughable at this
Did you ever get
point.
on the
Um,
little merry-go-round thing? The metal
the
one
one that you,
with the
yes,
yes,
bars, and then of
yes,
course they got it going, and then
you want to go
you'd end up
flying
flying
off.
off the darn thing, and you learn about physics really fast.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Mhm.
So we have some of those, and then we play some games, um some would you rather trivia, stuff like that. I have some fun games lined up for our coming episode on Monday. We have guests on sometimes if they have an area of expertise in a particular thing. We'll invite a
Mm-hmm.
guest on to share their experience. So
or their
yeah,
trauma.
and
And their
really
trauma.
it's being able to come, reminisce, feel nostalgic, have some, be able to laugh and bring some joy and respite. Um, I know I'm blessed enough right now to be retired. So I spent 30 years in high stress professions, and now I am being very intentional about surrounding myself with joy, spending my
Mm-hmm.
time in ways that bring me joy. And I know too many people who came from my profession who retired and died,
Mm.
and that's not going to be me.
Oh.
So tending to my health, because
But
the
you look
stress
so
being
young.
in.
I'm sorry, but I mean, you must have started working at like 16 years old, right? Like, I mean, I'm not
Thank
gonna ask
you.
you your
I
age, but it's like you.
So here's the thing. This is another reason to go on the Latchkey Hour website, because I am fighting aging with uh every ounce of my being. Because I look at pictures of my grandma when she was my age, and now she grew up in the depression. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's its own kind of stress, right? But um I have three young grandchildren, and I want to be around for a really, really, really long time. So part of, yes, I look younger than I probably look younger than I am. Part of that is good genes, but part of it, my father is uh, he- almost 80 and still very, very handsome. Um, but if you go on the Latchkey Hour website, I told you I also publish articles, right? And some of them I'm very transparent about the things I do to fight aging, like getting my teeth whitened.
Oh,
So
I saw
I
that
have
one. I saw that
I
one.
have there's actually two. So I wrote one article about the pre-whitening, and then 2 weeks later I wrote one about the post-whitening. And you will see very graphic pictures of my teeth up close and personal. Um, and see, I'm glad you're laughing, because that was part of my hope, is that people would see that and just laugh. But
No, but I mean,
so
it's
there's
like I admired like the no filter. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah, this is me. I've been very open about how I have Botox right here, because I have like 11s, those wrinkles right here, and people will just think I'm pissed off even when I'm not.
mm,
So I do get Botox here. I've been pretty open about, I got a little bit of filler in my cheeks right here, because when I hit perimenopause, my face just felt like it was falling off my skull.
okay. When
You
does
know,
sorry, Jason? When does
Go for it.
perimenopause hit? Like what age?
The typical age is around 50. I think the mean age of starting perimenopause is 50. I started late. I didn't start till about 56, and
I
I'm
am turning
almost.
50 next week, so that's why I'm like I'm
So here's
asking.
the thing, go on Latchkey Hour, because I am completely documenting my journey in perimenopause there, because it's relevant to women in our generation and we don't talk about it enough. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because, so yeah. And then, I'm doing a whole series of articles on microneedling, because I do this thing where I push needles into my face with peptides, to get my face to produce collagen.
So
Mm-hmm.
basically,
Okay.
taking care of yourself is something that
Yeah.
brings you joy. Sorry, that's
And I just published an article recently called Better Living Through Chemistry on the Latchkey Hour page. And it's all about all these chemicals that are up in here. Um, And then I also have documented about my struggle with HRT and antidepressants, and all of the symptoms that came along that my doctor wasn't putting together what it was. And I bet there are people in the chat right now who are like, oh, yeah, I can relate to that, because not enough doctors will will put your symptoms together and go, oh, that's perimenopause. Maybe you want to try HRT or not, depending on your medical history. That's my disclaimer. Talk to your doctor about
Mhm,
this.
mhm.
But and then I was also not going to my doctor with the most current information. So a girlfriend of mine, I was talking to her about everything that was going on, and she said, you need to check out this other doctor who is actually knows their stuff. And so I went to that website, I started reading that book, and I realized I had been talking to my female doctor, by the way, um, with not I did not have the most current science
Mm.
on HRT.
Mm.
So basically,
Apparently neither did she.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's why I'm kind of documenting what I'm going through, of course, with disclaimers about everybody's situation is unique. Everybody needs to consult their
they're
doctor
professional first.
regarding
Yeah.
their medical history, but this is me.
Mhm.
And so I'm just being very transparent about it, because here I am, I'm kind of motherless in this world, and am having to um navigate this
I was
new
about to say,
era of
figure
my
it out.
life. Yeah, navigate this new area of my life, really doing my own homework and being my own best resource and advocate.
Which is
Mhm.
why when you discuss community, that is part of
Mhm. Absolutely.
finding resources, because
Yeah.
I mean, you can do all the research you want by yourself, but eventually, when you start exchanging with other people and you realize, I mean, we do this show on Monday that is, you're
Right.
aware of chronically illing it
Mhm.
out, because
Yes.
Beth and I have fibromyalgia and other chronic
Mhm.
illnesses. And
Mhm.
when we start, I mean, it's amazing. Sometimes we have like 300 people in a chat, like just
Mhm.
talking about they have the same experience, and then they sort of give
Mhm.
we do have a disclaimer, but they give it, oh, have you thought of that, like, oh, I did this, oh, and it worked, oh yeah, oh really, and then
Or
they,
check out this piece of research, right? i
yes,
i come from a background where I have a doctorate. I understand research. I can read it and vet it for myself in terms of validity and reliability. And so I do rely a lot on research when it comes to making decisions that are scientifically medically based.
wow,
um
because not,
so
yeah, you do
I
have that
chose
that
I
skill.
chose I chose to walk in this, going into my 50s, and almost I'll be 60 here in 2 years. I am not doing. I'm not filling. I'm not. I I support anybody that chooses to do what they are comfortable with, but I feel like I have earned every line, every wrinkle through
and
every bit of pain that
absolutely.
I have been through, and I am grasping that this is who I am. Take me as I am.
Mhm.
That's where I'm
Mhm.
at.
And
And I think that's fabulous too. I think for women, especially when we're
Mhm.
getting so many messages from the world
Oh
about
my!
what we should be, it is
And that's why
important
I
for
say
all of
this.
us. And
And that's
yeah,
why I say this,
that's why
because
it's important
I
though for
have.
all of us to back each other,
Oh
Mhm.
right?
yeah,
In
yeah.
whatever that journey is that makes you feel like you're
If
being most
that
authentically you.
if that
I will
brings you
bring back
happiness, I
Jason into the
support that.
conversation, because
Absolutely.
that
No,
is,
it's all good. And I always want to just throw in there the HRT thing, especially recent, is a textbook example of what happens when there's a small study that's done that shows potential
Mhm.
harmful outcome, which is, I mean, it was significant, statistically significant. Now, look, I have a doctorate as well. I understand what statistically significant
Statistics.
means.
Right,
It means
right.
it's a higher than, it's not going to happen by chance. It's not, but you also have to look at the magnitude and what they failed to do, and what I'm hoping that Shayla's doctor is doing now, which is
Mhm.
you can't just take that one thing
Right,
completely out of context. It says, okay, if
right.
you're on this, you have a higher risk of, it was breast cancer, right? It was
Yeah,
or heart,
yeah, and
it
heart
was
disease
whatever.
and breast
Yeah, there was,
cancer.
so and yes, and that is a bad thing. You don't want that, but you
Absolutely.
fail to weigh that against the potential benefit of
Benefits.
being on HRT in the first place, which is your life is no longer miserable. Inside,
Yes,
Honestly, I've seen my
there
mom
are
doing it,
still.
and when she went off, she took them super long, and she started like
Mhm,
unraveling. And then the
mhm.
doctor that because she had that experience, he's like, okay, no, no, you can't
Mhm.
take them at that age. And then she went back, she stopped, and it went super bad, and then she went back to another doctor for another reason. And he was like, well, why did you stop? So I said, well, the doctor told me to. And then I was like, no, 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 no. So and then so I'm just saying, like, but I mean, so
And
it
I'm not
is.
saying it's for everybody either. It's
Yeah.
you have to decide, if you have a history of heart disease and breast cancer in your family and
Well,
you're
there you
50
go.
years old and you're going, well,
Right,
wait a minute here,
right.
I want to make it to my 80s, or maybe that's not the best thing. On the flip side, I mean,
Right.
I can say from, personal proximity that once Shayla started the HRT, she was back to being a normal person again. I was not abnormal, but just not so
I didn't feel
miserable.
normal though. I mean, and he doesn't mean that with any kind of disdain at all.
It was like
But
being human again.
I was hard to live with because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't.
Oh my goodness.
I was,
No.
I was pissed off about gaining the weight that I didn't understand why this was happening. I eat healthy and all the rest of that. I had brain fog, all of that. I had pain in my back that was literally debilitating. Like I couldn't get out of bed some days.
Right, and we were
Mm-hmm.
trying
And
to
Yeah.
travel.
Well, that's
and
true because that's
when
something that you have in common. You like traveling. I
Right.
mean,
And we were together on a trip in Ireland where I was really, really struggling. I was in incredible pain and there was nothing I could do about it. And anyway, long story short, um, once I figured out that I was operating off of these false premises about what HRT meant for me, once I went on, I'd say 90% of my symptoms were gone in 36 hours.
can you imagine? I mean,
Mhm.
that's just there you go. It works, and you're right. You have
Yeah.
to check out the benefits versus, what eventually could be the risk. So,
Mhm. And so for me, part of Latchkey Hour are these articles that I publish about here's my journey. So that maybe somebody out there isn't feeling like they're so alone in trying to figure all this out because it's complicated and it's not something. I
Mm-hmm.
do have a new doctor, by the way. I did switch and have a new doctor who is very well versed, who is in this demographic and who
That's wonderful.
listens to me. So yay,
I just pulled
right?
up our topic list to try to
That's
figure out what we're going to be doing after. I'm just seeing, we have a whole
Just
brainstorm of ideas. And the thing is if you grew up anywhere between, if you grew up in the late 70s, early 80s into the 90s, you're on our team. And and I also like to say, we're also
and
Gen
even
X
if you're Gen X
adjacent.
adjacent,
Right,
right?
because the exennials uh, are in there, or if you were born in 64,
'64,
we
if you're
don't put a hard line
technically a
on that.
boomer,
If
there's
you
a
grew up
lot.
watching the Muppet Show, you're our people. Or
So
if you
I'm at the
grew up
older,
watching, the other stuff, you're our people. If you watched Family
yeah,
Ties, you're our, or whatever it was, you're our people. It's like it's all that, and then
yeah.
Cheers and whatever. And
Yeah.
if you were raised on hose water and neglect,
Hmm.
you
oh,
are our people.
yeah, that got my
Right.
attention. It's like, oh my God, yes, really. It's like, are you
Yeah.
Water.
thirsty?
Stand up in the vehicle. I can remember standing in the back of the seat while my parents were driving. I was
Yeah.
little.
Well, and that's why why it's called Latchkey Hour, because we're the generation that grew up and went home from school and let ourselves into the house because we had two working
Mm-hmm.
parents. So that's why we call it that. And the basic premise of the podcast is that we're at home and then we're hanging out for an hour together with all of our friends who've left their
Mm-hmm.
bikes out in the driveway, come on into the house, and we're going to hang out and have a conversation before mom gets home or dad gets home. And then when they get home, we're going to pretend like we were doing our homework.
Right. Quick,
Mm-hmm.
everybody back.
Right.
And you drive, if you went around the neighborhood and you knew where everyone was at by where the bikes were parked, that's,
It's true.
Oh,
because you
The
could be
pile
on
of
your
bikes.
bike and there was a pile of bikes. Well, something's going on. And what would happen? You'd knock on the door. Hey, can someone, yeah, come on in. And it was whoever, and I think we all, to a limited degree, everyone's mom probably hosted all the kids in the neighborhood at some point, depending on the dynamic. I mean, I know for me
If
it
they had
was,
a mom, but yeah. I
well,
mean,
or a parent,
there
or
wasn't enough attention paid to families who didn't fit that uh, two parent of different genders stereotype back then, right? I mean,
Mm.
there was still kind of there were some single parent households, but really media was still focused on that traditional
Mhm.
mother father family dynamic.
my mom was at
Yeah.
home, so she said I was crying too much and she couldn't work the next day, so she
Mhm.
ended up going. It's like, anyways,
My mom was at home. Yeah.
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 So yeah, so
My
she was
mom
one
was
of
at
the
home until
moms.
I
Like,
got old enough to watch my sisters, and then
yeah,
guess who
all
was
the
home?
kids would end up at our place sometimes, and then it's like, yeah. So, but yeah, good memories. I mean,
Yeah.
right now
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of my childhood, and yeah, it's it makes you feel good. Except except there'll be part, where you're like, it's you have to be careful not to fall into the nostalgia, that kind of brings you sadness as well. But I'm not saying, I'm talking for
Mhm.
myself here, right? Because I
Mhm.
remember there were parts of my childhood that were not easy, but yes, I mean, thinking of
Yeah.
the culture, the music, I mean, putting the music outside, dancing on Michael Jackson Thriller, like, yes. And then,
Mhm.
remember that. So that was
And
Karma
how many of our,
Chameleon.
oh yeah, how many core
Yes.
memories do we have that aren't, that are tied to either a, either a particular kind of music, or more specifically a
Yeah.
particular song? I mean, there are certain songs when they come on and I say, and I remember where I was, what I was doing when this
Yeah.
song was popular, because I was on a class trip, and this is the exercise. I think I posted it somewhere, but go to look at top 40. You can just Google, what was the Billboard top 40 for any given week in any year. And for me, the week
Mhm.
was late May in 1984. I was on a
Mhm.
class trip in DC, and I was only
Mhm.
in seventh grade. I was in junior high, so I mean, I'm 13. I'm not, and my parents somehow let me go on a plane with other, which was, and we sold M&Ms to raise money for the. I think I bought half of them myself, but
Did
you
you
know,
sell lemonade? Did you guys ever sell
I never I
lemonade?
never sold lemonade.
Oh,
We tried to do
no.
something in our neighborhood
Yes, I
once.
did. Yes, I did. In front of my grandparents' house. Actually, it was my grandparents who saved me. They lived 3 blocks down the street, and there were times I lived with them because I needed to. And yeah, they would let me do the whole lemonade thing. And let's just say it didn't make me rich, but here I am today. So,
I think they still do
right.
that these days. I'm sure they don't sell them the same price.
Mhm.
You
But I mean,
see
I'm
kids
looking
are
at our topic list, and
But yeah, I remember the Peanuts cartoons where Lucy offered therapy for 5 cents.
yes, right.
And
Mhm.
Psychiatric help, five
given
cents.
yeah,
Mhm.
given my future profession, because I was a clinical social worker before I went into education and during the time I was in education. Um, and yeah, so I probably should have sold therapy as a kid for 5 cents, and that would have prophesied my future
Right.
career. But
No, I was just looking at our topic
A
list, and it's
missed
like, and we've
opportunity for sure.
only touched on a few of them. I didn't have a real lemonade stand, but we had a game on the Apple II that was like a lemonade stand game, and it would tell you what the weather was like, and if you wanted to buy. It was kind of like the Oregon Trail version of lemonade, or the lemonade version
I
of
love the
okay,
Oregon
Oregon
Trail.
I
Trail.
never heard of that.
d-
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we
it was.
talked about the Oregon Trail a
Yeah,
couple
we
weeks
did.
ago.
We
You
talked
should
about dying of
check out our
dysentery.
last.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like maybe 2 episodes
Oh,
ago.
the
Oh
Oregon
no, was that
Trail.
our first or second episode? We did a whole segment on the Oregon Trail. Oh yeah, and yeah, you have to watch it because it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and
So, Jason,
yeah.
do you have a topic list for the ones coming? I mean, the shows that are
Well,
coming.
so Star Wars is next week because May the 4th
Right.
is coming, and then I
May the
think
11th will be the Never Ending Story. Will be part of it.
Why are you doing
Oh,
that
which
on
is
my mom's birthday? Please.
I
well, it's
love
not until
that.
8 o'clock at night, and it'll be recorded.
Yeah, you'll be able to
That's true.
watch it
I will
after, but
get it though. But it is my mom's birthday. We're all so for somehow weird reason in my family, my grandmother, my mom, and me, all born in May.
oh
So but yes, the never ending story. Oh my gosh, I will definitely watch that one.
yeah.
It's
We
it's
haven't planned out past that, but let me say we have 3 pages of potential topics. So
Right.
we're
Wow.
not at a loss for topics. Do you want to just read off some of them,
Well, like
Jason?
one of them, you're going to totally. I mean, if you don't understand this, you didn't grow up in our time. One is New Coke, the betrayal of 1985. Right? I mean, like
Yes,
and then
Yeah.
something
this is
like
one of them I can't trust.
the Swatch watch as a status symbol, having a swatch.
Yes.
You had to
Yeah.
have
So
your.
fashion is also
Uh,
an important part of how
so
we
there's
grew up.
lots of topics like
Yeah.
What
this.
is it, Chow?
Fogger and the existential dread of the highway.
The advent of video games is in there too. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. And
Yeah.
some,
Hmm.
we don't want to give everything away. We want there to
No.
be some
Right, right.
surprises.
Well, and there's lots of room for guest suggestions
Yes.
and some of the
And for
idea is
guests.
right, and for guests.
So if you ladies have a topic that you want to join us for, I will say send us your topic and dates that you're available. We would love to schedule you.
I love
Mhm.
that.
And
I
and
love
Thank
it's
you
what you're
so much.
doing. Mhm.
it's funny,
Yes.
and I for Monday's show, which again, if you only tuned in for the first 5 minutes, it's hilarious because we
Okay.
had full Star Trek uniforms on.
But
I'm
stick around because
I
there
saw.
will
oh, it
be
gets better.
surprises.
But the first five
Okay.
minutes was fantastic because Shayla put a lot of effort into it. But when I was coming
Oh,
up
so
with,
fun.
I wanted to do an intro sequence like the opening of Star Trek, where they space the
Mm-hmm.
final frontier, right? But I realized I kind of at in the process, I accidentally wrote our mission statement for the for the Latchkey Hour, which is which is
Yeah.
our continuing mission was to explore nostalgic topics, to seek out new guests and shared core memories, and to boldly go where no Gen Xer has gone before.
Yeah.
With a little
Oh,
emphasis
that's
on the
perfect.
last
Yeah.
part, maybe is a
Yeah.
little over the top, but you get the idea.
Mhm.
That is, if you
We're
think
not
about it,
above
that
being
is,
over the top.
we're not afraid of that.
We
Uh,
are over the top
there
sometimes.
may be costumes next week. I'm not sure yet. We're having to figure that out, but let's just say
We're working on it. We're
we're gonna
working
have
on it.
something.
Well, it sounds
How
fantastic. And
fun.
I have to say, because I was there on this Monday, it was just a preview of what I will see in the next week. So that was honestly, it was great. You guys, I think you have something, you have a, anyways, sorry, my brain fog. There you go, 50. Like,
See?
there. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm looking. It's almost past the hour. I mean, one,
Yeah.
and we were late, by the
That
way. I'm
went
sorry.
fast.
Already
It did
passed.
go fast.
It passed. Isn't it like it just goes by so fast when you have joy, right, and fun?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
but so, is there anything you would like to ask? So please, I mean, not to ask. Sorry, that is there anything you would like to add about the Latchkey Hour? Because everyone in the chat, this is Shayla B. Pookie and Jason Odell, who are a host of the new podcast, The Latchkey Hour, every Monday at 8 Eastern. And maybe you can translate that into Central
And
Time
five
and
Pacific.
And
5
if you're in
Pacific.
between like we are, it just falls in between, right?
Yes.
I know it's a
I
little late
Excellent.
on
just
the East Coast. It's a little late
I
on the
just
East
want
Coast.
to thank you guys for giving this opportunity to get our message out there. I think our mutual messages have a lot of overlap in the Venn
Mm-hmm.
diagram of life, and that
Mm-hmm.
overlap is joy. And so
Joy.
thank you for the opportunity to increase our exposure and hopefully bring some new subscribers into the fold, so we can keep spreading joy together.
That's
We'll just keep
absolutely.
exciting.
So,
spreading
Yes,
guys,
joy.
look up that
absolutely. I
new
love that.
street. Look
What's
about
that?
your screen. You'll see the names up on the Substack app. You'll have the Rebel Crone. If you haven't already subscribed, Sheila B. Pookie and Jason, you can press on their names and it'll lead you to a link to follow. But we like subscriptions, right? Then you'll get
I
Subscribers
do
are
notified.
what
like
helps us. That's what
that.
helps
I like the
everybody
Right.
here.
subscriptions because then I get the calendar invites and I can put it on my calendar
Hmm.
and make sure I'm not missing anything. Also, I just want to add, I have 3 different publications. So I have the Rebel Crone and I have Latchkey Hour, and I also have Side Quest Photography, where I pair my photography with some poems, also with some short stories. It's a short story series that I'm calling a Sometimes True Story. So I have some of those on there as well. That's another one of my projects. Um, and then
And
on the
Jason
Rebel
is also,
Crone,
I mean, a professional photographer. He also,
Jason's a master photographer. I am not. I just mess around and sometimes things work out.
Well, they
well,
work out more than half the time, and if they don't work out, it's no penalty for trying. That's the beauty of digital
Yeah,
photography, and
absolutely.
we're excited because in June we're going to be up in your neck of the woods. So
We
hopefully we
are.
can
So
connect.
we are going to be in Quebec City.
yes,
Wow.
yes, yes. And we have talked before about this. So getting together and
Yes.
I mean, real life
Yes.
and Substack. I mean, this is all about. And thank you, Jason. I've just seen you put it in the chat how to follow you. So
Latch,
yes,
I
really
Latch,
missed
the
touch
last
I
on
key
missed
that.
the
hour.
chat.
Yeah.
I
And if you
couldn't get
just
into
click
the
on
chat.
me, you'll subscribe to the photographer's perspective. And I've got an
Mhm.
interview program I do generally on Saturdays with a professional photographer or someone who's a photography enthusiast. And
Hmm.
so that this week I have Juliette Mansour coming on, and she's a street photographer in Atlanta and has
Mm.
just done some amazing stuff. And I think she's got a book working on or something that she's been doing. I've been working on getting her on my show called Let's Click for the last couple months, and we finally have a date that works out. So that's on Saturday mornings my mornings. I think it's at Saturdays at noon Eastern, I believe. That's when I've been trying to do them at least.
Should
Time
you should
zones.
you should check in with Michael Kennedy. He's on my Substack. He's a photojournalist or former
Okay,
photojournalist who's still
Oh,
and
very
just
cool.
yeah.
absolutely amazing pictures as well
And I've
from
run into
his
these
journey.
people. I've run into these people just being on Substack.
Mhm.
I've
Hmm.
found people who were interviewed for other reasons on other shows, and then you're a photographer on the side, and they weren't talking about their photography because they were talking about current events or something. So
Right.
I'll
Sheila,
get them
that's
on my
actually
show.
how I got interested into Jason's profile on Substack because I was in the Daily Whatever with
Hmm.
Lawrence
Yes.
and
Yep.
Dana
And
Dubois.
Dana.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And then we were, as kind of here, well, he can chat. And then Jason was saying at one point, I don't remember. I was like, hey, you're into photography. And I'm like, I'm an amateur photographer. So I was like, oh, I have to follow what he does. And then we
Yep.
started talking. And yeah, that's so, yeah, I
I'm an
mean,
Hmm.
amateur photographer who happens to sleep in the same bed as a master photographer. It's a pair.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure you share tricks, right? Like you should do this or you should.
Not those kind.
Beth, is there anything you would like to add? I mean, I'm
No,
looking at the
I'm
time and we're a little bit.
I'm just this was really great. I enjoyed it. Thank you. I
Thank
Beth,
appreciate
are
you.
those
I
more
Lego
about
appreciate
what
I'm
flowers
so
behind
so.
you?
what's that?
Does Beth have all the Do you have all the Lego flowers behind
I
you?
do have Legos behind
Those
me.
are awesome.
Um,
Yes.
Just saying, Lego is like huge for.
Lego's a Gen X thing.
Absolutely, and I'm glad because
flowers, Lego. Our group, Nick's into
Maybe
Legos too.
maybe we should do a Lego episode with you, Beth.
There you
oh,
go.
oh, she's
Uh,
frozen.
Beth
Yeah,
froze.
Beth
No,
Rose.
no.
Shoot.
Don't transport or.
Let me freeze. Oh no.
Transporter
Am I back?
malfunction.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Did I?
Oh well, thank you guys. It's
Oh,
been an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm gonna
Thank you
have to let
both.
you go. And
Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun.
it has been. Love your screenshot in the back. So I'm looking
must be
forward to see the next one
frozen.
on Monday. Don't forget to follow And yes, thank you, everyone.
I don't know if mine will do that.
104 people. I like numbers, so I have to mention thank you to more than 100 people
Oh,
who
there it goes.
saw our show today and who listened to it.
Get
You'll
my
be able
heart
to
going.
catch up when
My
we
heart's
post it
going.
later. So
Take
don't
care.
forget
My
to
heart's
take
not
time
going.
for life.
Oh well, my hearts don't work.
Bye, everyone.
I don't have one, so bye.
Bye, guys.